Welcome back to Self Love Ignited. On today's episode, I am chatting with Melanie Huestis. Melanie and I have a great conversation where we talk a lot about body image, about how this started really early in life for her, and how she has worked on it and continues to work on it. We also talk about why anger is Melanie's favorite emotion. We talk about energy. We talk about how you should stop shoulding yourself. See what I did there? Shoulding yourself. Huh? And how you can turn your shoulds into coulds. Melanie is an intuitive energy coach with a big heart and a mouth to match. She is a straight shooter. She's Canadian. She has a knack for helping women turn their muck into magic by empowering them to drop old stories, wounds, and BS to make room for what really matters. Melanie is a woman you want in your life. She is incredible, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. Dive on in. My name is Katie Allen, and this is Self Love Ignited. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am sitting down with Melanie Huestis, and we are going to talk all about her and her story, and I cannot wait to get into it. So, Melanie, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you here. Why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Thank you for having me. As Katie said, my name is Melanie. I live in London, Ontario in Canada, and I have a teeny tiny house that has the best energy. And we live in a little place that is basically in nature. It feels like we live in a forest. I live with my husband, my two teenage daughters, and I honestly just really love my life, which I know might be a strange thing to start with. But that's most important to me, which is why I like to share that before I get into what I do. Mm-hmm. I've worked really hard to find a balance that suits me, and it looks radically different from a lot of other people. And then what I do is I work as an intuitive energy coach, and I work with women to kind of drop the old stories, their old beliefs and BS, so that they can find that own balance for themselves and create a life that they really love.
I love that. Ooh, that's amazing.
Thank you.
And I love that you start by leading with you as a human, like
yes,
instead of you as a business owner. Like you happen to have a business, but that's not all of you, you know?
It's not, it's not me. It's what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so important. So important. Oh, anyways. Okay. So, so this podcast is called Self Love Ignited. And of course, you know, when I do these interviews, it's really about hearing about you and your story and telling the story about how you may have come from a place of not liking yourself, not loving your body, whatever it happens to be, to really embracing all parts of you and the journey. So I would love for you to tell us your story, you know, maybe start from the beginning. That's usually a good place to start. Where did your challenges with yourself begin?
Okay, so I can't pinpoint an exact date or time because it was so young. Yeah. So the environment that I grew up in was not a great one. And I very often left my body and felt not comfortable being in it physically. And so I really dissociated from that. And as a lot of people can probably relate, when you grow up in that environment, it's really difficult to like yourself because no one's telling you that you are likable or lovable. And that was kind of compounded when my mother told me that I was overweight and needed to go on Weight Watchers as a young child. And I got incredibly ill because I wasn't getting enough food. I was starving. I wasn't getting nutrients. Back then, people weren't as conscious about healthy eating. It was more calories and that sort of thing. And so I ended up really sick and feeling even worse about myself and about my body.
That's awful. How, if you don't mind me asking, do you know how young you were? Like, are we talking like 5 years old, 10 years old?
No, I think it probably would be around 9 or 10.
9 or 10.
Yeah, like I was definitely still in elementary school, but I don't remember the exact age.
Yeah. That's okay. I mean, I think all of our memories from those times sort of blend together anyway. So the actual
Well,
number doesn't matter, but the fact is
yeah,
you were a really young child.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that, starting on Weight Watchers when you were so young, how did that, like, did that stick with you? That sort of like feeling like you needed to change your body and be on a diet? Like, did that stick with you through your teen years and into sort of adulthood?
It absolutely stuck.
Yeah.
And if I'm being totally honest, it's an ongoing journey. It's something that I don't know that I will ever completely heal from. But that's okay. There's lots of lessons in this as well, right? It's all part of the journey. But what I found was that when I was happy, like when I left my parents' house and I was feeling happy and more supported and more seen, that I would naturally not be so strict with myself and I would gain weight. And then when I entered a period in my life, whether it was from stress or from a breakup or, whatever happened, then I would get very anxious, feel bad about myself, and I would start to diet and exercise excessively again. And then what would result is I would lose weight. And then everyone would compliment me. Oh, you look amazing. You're doing such a great job. I'm so proud of you. And the internal message started to become that happiness wasn't important, that what I looked like was important, and that I wasn't deserving of just being me and being happy.
Yeah.
So it was that connection between feeling horrible about myself was when I got praised.
Yeah.
And that's hard to shake. Even if you logically know it doesn't make sense, it's really hard to shake that.
Yeah. 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 And when it's reinforced again and again and again and again throughout your life
Yeah,
by people who you know, by people who you don't know, and when we're constantly getting the message from the media, thin is
exactly.
how you're supposed to be, like when you're literally, and this happens to all of us in our own way every single day, we're always like this shoved in our faces. Yeah, of course
Yeah.
you're going to create that association, and of course it's going to be,
And even professionally too. Like I would find that before I worked in the financial industry, and when I showed up looking a certain way, I would get the promotion. And when I showed up, not even necessarily at a different weight, but just not as overtly sexual, I would not get the promotion and I would not get the same attention professionally.
Right.
So you're right. It was reinforced in pretty much every facet of my life, with the exception of my relationship with my husband. Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you, because the woman who I see today is very far from that woman, right?
Yes.
The woman who I see sitting in front of me today, you have this really beautiful, like quiet confidence about yourself, like this
Thank you.
presence. And you're welcome. It's true. It's just what I see. So how did you get here today from that place?
Okay. Well, long journey, right?
Yeah.
And so many things. But the most important thing, I think the biggest shift for me, was I really sat with, what do I actually want? And my first thought would be, well, I want to be thin. So normally then I'd go on a diet or I'd exercise or whatever, because when I'm thin, everything was better and I was loved and supported. But I took it a step deeper and I thought, well, what do I actually want? Is I want to feel good. I think that when I get to a certain weight or look a certain way, then my relationships will be better. Things will be easier. I'll have more confidence. I'll be able to run in the beach in a bikini and not care, like all of that. That's what I actually wanted. And that had absolutely nothing to do with what I looked like or how much I weighed. So I shifted my goal from trying to look a certain way into trying to call in what I actually wanted, which was that feeling of self-love and confidence and just accepting myself exactly as I was. And if I could do that in a bigger body, then that was even better to me.
Right. Right.
So that was the biggest shift.
And I mean, that is the shift, isn't it?
Yeah,
That
it is
the big shift is getting sort of really seeing that for most people, when there is this goal of weight loss or this goal of changing your body, it's what you think that is going to get you, right? That's what we
right.
really want. As human beings, we chase feelings.
Yes.
Like that's what we want at our core. We want feelings. We want to feel good. We want to feel happy. We want to feel safe. We want to belong. We want all of those things. And everything that we do is just to seek those.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can get to that and bypass all the bullshit.
That's the gold, right? I don't know if I bypassed all of the bullshit, but I just don't pay as much attention to it along the way. It just kind of flows by, right?
Yeah.
It's still there, but I don't put value in it anymore.
Yes. 100%. And I think that it's really important to validate that part of the journey. I mean, I'm the exact same. Like, we are still women. We are still living in this world, you know, in this society, getting all the same messages from the media. It doesn't just instantly go away. You just get this new perspective on it and this new realization of, do I put value on this or not? Does this get to have the same power over me or not? And it's just sort of making that conscious choice again and again about what you really want.
Yes. And I think what you said that's key is the again and again and again.
Yes.
It's not like I reached this spot where all of a sudden I realized, oh, I'm fine the way I am. And I never had that challenge or those worries anymore.
Yeah.
It's just choosing myself repeatedly. And also I find giving myself permission when I just can't to not beat myself up if I'm having a day where I just can't show up in a bikini on the beach because I feel fat, and just honoring that.
Yeah. 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 Don't judge yourself for being human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the step that you took of sort of realizing that it was the feeling that you wanted.
Yeah.
How do you have any recollection of how you got there? Like, did you work with somebody? Were you like meditating, or like, did you have an activity, or was this just like a natural progression of awareness within you?
It's definitely a natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that other people didn't influence this in any way. I did over the years. I've done therapy. I have done a lot of energy work, energy healing, taken a lot of like somatic classes. And what I really came to understand for me, and honestly for most people, is that it was the trauma that I hadn't resolved, which was making me feel not worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And that no matter what I did, until I went back to that root and got really honest about that, it wasn't going to stick.
Right.
So what I constantly would do is tune back into me, right? Again, ignoring those outside opinions, what we see in the media, whatever, and tuning into my body. How do I feel? What emotions are coming up?
Yeah.
Why do I feel this way? And then the most important thing I would do is ask myself, what do you need right now? And then depending on the day, that what do I need might have been go and exercise, move your body, maybe eat a really nourishing meal, or maybe it's go back to bed and do nothing. But again, honoring in every moment what my body was asking for, and giving that to myself, as long as it's not in a destructive way. Right. Obviously, there's some things that you don't want to do. But then that just built confidence that I knew what I needed without having to listen to other people. It helped my body and I to communicate better. Yep. So I could read its cues and get more clarity around what was needed. Yep. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I want to know, seems sort of dumb. Was this easy for you?
I don't believe in dumb questions. I'll say that. But absolutely not. No, in no way, shape, or form was it easy. I don't think it's meant to be easy. Yeah. Being human is really hard. And I think part of why so many people suffer, not necessarily have pain or struggle, because that's part of the process of being human, but a lot of times we suffer because we have expectations around what something is going to look like or what this process is going to be like. And then as soon as we don't line up to that, we go back into that cycle of beating ourselves up. I didn't do a good enough job. I'm not worthy. And I think it's so important to give ourselves grace through that and accept that some days are going to be easy. Yeah. And some days aren't. And they're all equally as valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I see just in doing this work and talking to people, there is this sort of idea that it's all really hard. Like this work is all really hard. And I mean, there's definitely challenges, like a lot of it is really hard, but I think it comes
Yeah.
down to, like you said, there are easy days. There's some really hard days and there are some really easy days. And it's kind of like choose your hard. And I've seen that related to other things. And sometimes it's not the most positive message, but choose your heart. Do you want to stay in this cycle of dieting and hating your body and judging yourself? Or do you want to face it and rise above and become your own friend and, put yourself first? Like each has its own unique challenges, but each also has its own beautiful gifts. And it's kind of up to you to decide.
Yeah. And I do agree with that. It's all about choice.
Yeah.
We absolutely get to choose again in every moment of every day. And I don't, it might just be a different way of saying it, but I don't know for myself, if it's so much of having it not be hard, because it most of the time is challenging, but it's about being okay with that and finding the joy in that. Like I may be, challenged today, but I can do this. And I know when I get on the other side of it, I'm going to feel so proud of myself. I'm going to feel so good. It's almost like people think I'm crazy when I say this, but I'm almost at the point in my life where I enjoy the hard stuff just as much as the easy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can really find the beauty in all of the journey, you don't have to get out of it. You don't have to get over it. You just enjoy it while you're there.
Oh, yeah. Don't fight it. Yeah.
Yes. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like give up that, what's the word? The resistance. Like we resist
Yes.
so much and we push back and yeah. Yeah. Like surrendering to it almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. Even just like at dinner tonight, my one daughter started to get a little emotional.
Yeah.
And I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "I'm sad." And I said, "So be sad." And so she sat at the table and cried. And we all sat there and talked about how we cry all the time. And it wasn't trying to fix it, trying to make her happy, trying to get her past being sad. It was welcoming the sadness into the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a beautiful gift for her to understand. Yeah, I mean, being a teenager is hard, like it
is.
it is.
Now, even more so than when I was younger, right? And when you were younger, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like being a teenager, yeah, it's always been hard, but now with social media, I
I can't imagine.
I can't either. I really can't. But what a beautiful gift that she is receiving, though, having, home be a safe space, but also being able to understand at such a young age that emotions are not something to fight against. And even like the quote unquote bad emotions or the unpleasant emotions, actually, when you honor them, you can move through them and it makes it simpler, there's less resistance. Yeah.
And they're also my favorite. Like anger is my favorite emotion. And so many people resist it. I freaking love anger.
Do tell. Why is anger?
Okay. When you feel angry, you want to make change. Anger is a message from your body that something needs to be different. Whether you're, in danger, whether you're being upset, whether you're being victimized, it doesn't matter what is happening. Anger is your body saying this needs to change. And because it's such a visceral, strong emotion, we listen if we allow it to come up, right? And if you can find a healthy way to express your anger, that has been the biggest impetus for change in my life. Because I don't want that to continue in my life. So I'm going to make massive change so that I don't continue to feel like that.
I have never heard anger described like that. And it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
as women, we are really conditioned to not be angry, right? What is that saying? Women are all things
sugar and spice and everything nice.
That's it. That's what I'm going.
Yeah. Not this one.
But like that's what we've all, whether consciously or not, that's what we've all sort of been told and we've all absorbed, right? Like women are supposed to be happy and kind and smiley, and we're supposed to be nurturers. And of course, anger doesn't have a place in that. And so many women push anger away. And I love that you've sort of embraced it as this like beautiful way to change and a way to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, when you can be angry and have someone sit across from you and hold space for that without leaving,
Mhm.
that makes you feel so loved,
Yeah.
right? So, like, lots of people will rub your back when you cry
Yeah.
or celebrate with you when you're happy. But if you can find those people that'll be with you when you're screaming and throwing stuff, like, those are the people, at least in my world.
Right, right. Those are your
Yeah,
people.
they're my people. Exactly. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You mentioned before, your husband, your relationship with
Hmm.
your husband.
Yeah.
As your relationship with yourself and your body has sort of changed and grown over the years, has your relationship with your husband like mirrored that?
No, no. We have been together. I'm trying to do the math here. Well, I guess over 20 years. We've been together over 20 years.
Okay.
And not until probably 2 years ago were we ever on the same page.
Okay.
So mirrored, not even by a long shot, but been affected by, absolutely. So I believe, being an energy healer, that everything is about vibration. And as we deepen into our own self-love and our own acceptance, our vibration will rise. And in all of the relationships around us, that can make a lot of people uncomfortable because either they're not vibrating at the same level or they just don't like you being different, right? That makes people uncomfortable. And so I found that either the people around me will rise to meet me or they will leave.
Yeah.
And so with my husband, it was a lot of both, right? Trying to rise and wanting to leave and then wanting to come back together. And we were just kind of both evolving, but at very different times and different places.
Right.
And then, oh my goodness, like I said, about 2 years ago, it's like we just clicked and now we're at the same spot and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been like that for a long time. If I'm being honest,
Yeah.
marriage is hard too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All relationships are.
Yeah. All
And see,
relationships.
now you've got me thinking, because now I'm saying being human is hard, relationships are hard.
Mhm.
And that brings up your point about how people think that everything's hard.
Mhm.
So now you've got me thinking my choice of words.
And I think the next question that I would ask is what what are you making it mean that something
Right.
is hard?
Well, what immediately popped into my head
Mhm.
is that it's worth it.
Right. There you go.
But I'm not thinking, that's my intuitive response, is
Mhm.
it's worth it. And
Mhm.
I think that's true. When I think about my relationship with Mike, that's why we have stuck through all of the challenges, because what the essence is of each one of us and us together is so incredible that it's worth sticking it out.
Right.
And bringing it back to, loving yourself and caring for yourself, that's the most important relationship. And that is so worth it
Yeah.
that I'll do anything. And I think it's important also to note that I'm a go big or go home kind of girl.
Mhm.
And my journey, my progression, I have chosen to take on every single challenge that I possibly could, because I want to evolve. I want to go deeper into love. I want to keep being a better person, but that's my choice. So there is a lot of challenge constantly for me because I like that,
Right.
but I don't have to choose a path like that.
Right. Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely it does. Yeah. And we each get to make our own choices and none is right or wrong, right? It really is just about choosing
Yes,
what's right for you in the moment.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Melanie, I'm curious, this sort of journey that you have been on and continue to be on with yourself, this
Yeah.
relationship, sort of this inner relationship, would you label this as a journey of like self-love, or is it self-acceptance? Like, is there sort of a term or a word that feels most true to you?
Honestly, being human is what feels the most true to me. Yes, it's about self-love. Yes, it's about self-acceptance. It's about 100 different things.
Yeah.
But every person I meet and have these conversations with or have the blessing to work with, when you whittle it all down, we're all working towards the same thing. And I think that's part of why we're here,
Yeah.
is to experience this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that works beautifully with the work that you do as well, right? Like with energy healing, because everything is energy. Everything in this
Yes,
world is
everything
energy.
really is.
Everything really is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Including us, even our like physical bodies, what we see as solid is actually just energy, which is like, yeah, we could go really deep into that. But it's, I want to know, how has this journey of you reconnecting to yourself, how has this impacted you becoming a business owner and doing this beautiful healing work that you do?
So I don't know exactly how to answer this, but I think my healing is my work.
Yeah.
I don't really think that one inspired the other. It's just that as I started to finally, after so long of feeling like crap and not loving myself, that you can probably relate to this. When I started to see positive change and really started to find joy, I wanted to share that with other people. And so then I started just sharing, this piece of myself. And even as a little kid, again, I grew up in a not great environment, but from a very young age, I always wanted to help. And it was this thing that I didn't want anyone else to feel like how I was feeling. And if I could help them, they wouldn't have to. And so over my lifetime, just how I've chosen to help has changed. And when I first started in the energy healing, I'm a Reiki master. So I did Reiki. And then I am also a psychic medium. So then I started incorporating messages. And then I became a life coach. And then I started incorporating coaching. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, but there's all of these different areas that I found helped me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just wanted to share that because it could help other people.
Right.
So it's almost like my business is just always one step behind my own personal healing.
Yeah. 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 I think so many of us do that, right? Like that.
I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
we're every single one of us as human beings are on this journey, and we're all at different stages.
Yeah.
And it's like, instead of each of us just going it alone, I feel like so many of us are like extending the hand, right? It's like, come with me, let's
Yes.
do this together.
Yes.
Let's do it as community. And like, even if you, like, I know for myself, I did a lot of my journey sort of by myself, because I didn't even know that there was support out there. I didn't know that
Right.
coaching existed a few years ago. Like I just didn't have access to that. And when I realized that, and I was like, I can help other people the way that I needed it, but I didn't know I could get it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I 100% I'm with you on that.
And
Yeah.
can I say something else about that I think is super important, is that I work with so many women who want to help others, have similar but different journeys. And they always put it off. Well, I haven't got enough accreditation. I haven't got enough experience. I'm not far enough along. And that breaks my heart, because there are people out there that need you at every single stage of your journey.
Mm-hmm.
And when you wait until you get to a certain point, whether you consider that being healed or an expert or whatever, there are so many people that are not getting your help. Yeah. So I just think it's important to note for anyone who's listening and thinking, oh, I want to do that when. Yeah. Drop the when and just start doing it now.
Yeah. 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 Could not agree more. Yeah. Yeah. So tell us about, like, you have, you said you have all these different layers. You have the Reiki, and you have the life coaching, and you have, you're a psychic medium. How does this show up today? Like, what does your business, what are your offerings look like today? How do you work with people?
Okay, there are a lot of ways to work with me, but my newest and my current favorite, my life, I can say that's my business, right?
Sure.
Is called Collective Magic. And what it is it's an amalgamation of everything. So it's a private community of like-minded women who are on this journey, like you were saying earlier, at different points, but the same journey, showing up in a place where you don't have to pretend. You can just be yourself and get support. There's energy healing in there. There's messages from your guides. There's one-on-one support, lessons and teaching. It's just where I've taken the best of everything that I do and brought it all into one place, like a one-stop shop. So that's where I'm really enjoying the most of my time right now. also because I'm learning so much
Mm-hmm.
from the women in the group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the best. That sounds amazing. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that we link to that.
Okay, and
show notes.
thank you. I was also going to say that I also have a free healing video, that if you sign up for my newsletter, if anyone's curious, sign up and you get the free mini healing video.
Beautiful.
And just give that a shot too.
Beautiful. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to put those in the show notes. So if you're
Thank
listening
you.
and you want to access those, yeah, I want it to be easy. And like this gets to be fun and it gets to be an experiment. And, I think we all, if somebody's, if you're listening to this, it's for a reason. I don't think that we come across anything for no reason. I think we all connect, whether it's on social media, whether it's through a podcast, however, we all connect for a reason. So if something is calling you, do it, explore it.
Please. Yes.
Yeah. So if there's somebody listening who is maybe where you were back in the day, maybe on this place of still sort of fighting with their body, maybe not having a positive relationship with themselves, maybe being really self-critical, maybe not believing in themselves, whatever that happens to be, is there one exercise or practice or sort of a starting point that you would recommend people begin with?
Another thing that has been really helpful for me, which sounds so simple, is anytime you catch yourself saying, I should exercise, I should not eat that ice cream, I should be thinner, I should, whatever, just take that should out and replace it with the word could. I could exercise, I could eat that ice cream, I could love myself more, whatever. Because like we were saying earlier, everything is energy and words have vibrations. And should is judgy, it's, demeaning, it makes you feel gross. It's the opposite of love.
Yeah.
And could opens up opportunities without the judgment. And even if you make the exact same choice, because you could do it as you should, you're going to enjoy it more, you're going to have more success, and you're going to love yourself more. So that's my one tip. If I could only share one, start there. It's so easy. We can all do it. It's free.
Yep.
And it's amazing how this really can quickly change things for you.
That's beautiful. I've never heard it said in quite that way either. If you just change your should to a could, it opens everything.
But even right now, just say, I should something, like whatever comes to mind.
Yeah. I should go for a walk later.
Blech. Okay. And then say, I could go for a walk later.
Yeah. It's that
doesn't it feel different?
Very different.
It vibrates differently in your body.
Yeah. And the should, I just want to add, the should is like, that means that somebody has said that I should, right? Like they say, and I always like to say, like, who the hell is they? They, them, the world.
It's often our ego.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's that part of our minds that constantly does judge. Yeah. And I'm not against ego. Ego has a very beautiful purpose. Shoulding is not what it is though. That's not one of them.
Yeah. Let's move that to a could.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So Melanie, as we're sort of getting ready to wrap this up, is there anything else that feels important? Any other little bits of wisdom, anything else that you want to say that we have not yet touched on before we wrap up?
Well, we've already touched on it, but I think it's important enough to repeat, is that no matter what has happened to you, no matter what you have done, no matter what anyone has told you, no matter what you have believed every single other day of your life, that you are worthy of having love in your life. And I know that seems simple, but if you were to just really feel into those words, a lot of us don't believe that. And that's it. No matter what, where you are, who you are, what's happening, you deserve this.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to leave it there at that little golden nugget.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I've loved chatting with you, and I'm very grateful for your time and your presence and your energy. And thank you so much for sharing it with us today.
Thank you, Katie.
All of the links mentioned during the episode are down in the show notes. Please make sure to go on over and check them out. Also, please remember to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and I would be forever grateful if you would go on over and leave us a review on iTunes as well. That's going to help this message reach more women. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Here is to you loving yourself.